People, hello and welcome back to the channel. I am your host, Bad Company. And also welcome to my 2014, although actually built in 2015, Ducati Panigale 899. This is my baby, and I absolutely love her. She looks just absolutely stunning and spectacular. You know, every line of this bike is just as beautiful as it is functional in my mind. A quick background on why this was the bike that I bought was when I was 15. The first motorcycle that I ever fell in love with was the Ducati 999R. Well, 15-year-old me then pretty quickly figured out that Ducatis are rather expensive. They're rather expensive to insure, especially when you're working at Burger King. They are hard to get. There is no dealers in the state of North Dakota that I'm aware of anyway, and there wasn't at the time for sure. And of course that 999R was the brand new flagship model, so there really was no way I could get it. So time went by. A couple of bikes later, I found myself looking at a Ducati 848, which was the model that replaced that 999. You know, the 848 and the 1098. Man, that's such a beautiful sound. I don't know, something about the bike just threw me off. Something about it just didn't feel right to me. I never actually rode one. I just thought that tank design was insane. That huge shelf that was at the top of the tank looked just horrendous to ride. Anyway, time passes by, and they unveil the Panigale, the most beautiful motorcycle that I had personally ever laid my eyes on, and I think still to this day. The MV Agusta F3 is absolutely stunning, but I don't know, I think this Ducati Panigale is just something special. This is something else, you know. It's got a very specific allure to it. And I don't know, the red paint I absolutely love. I've got a thing for red. My truck is red. This is red. I had a Honda Grom that was red. Yeah. I really like red bikes. I really like red cars. Especially ones that sound like that. That V-twin is amazing. The torque is amazing. Just the way that it pulls pretty much at any RPM and any gear is magnificent. Now, of course, there are some flaws. The components for it are very expensive. As I mentioned earlier, there is no dealer here in North Dakota. So, where I actually bought this from is 400 some odd miles away in Minneapolis and a 6-hour drive. I'm not trying to go super fast here. I'm just kind of riding a little bit and having some fun. The components are very expensive. The servicing is very expensive as well. I actually have the Ducati Performance seat on here, and it's okay. Hanging way off the bike here. The Performance seat is actually okay, but I don't know, it's so narrow yet. I'll see if I can show you. It's so narrow, which is great for giving the bike a really good race feel. Which is the thing about this bike, like how I've been riding it since I've been getting on it. I'm not exactly riding it totally like a hooligan, but that's how it needs to be ridden. For the in-town stuff, it's a little brutal. If you don't know much about these bikes, the mid-pipe goes right underneath the seat and over the rear swing arm. That heat you feel, that comes right up into your butt and your thighs. And you feel it in a pretty short amount of time. So what you need to do is you need to be moving fast enough for all of that heat to be coming out of your legs and going out the back of the bike. The controls are fine. Ducati Fit and Finish is second to none. I've ridden just about every single brand of motorcycle, of sport bike. Some that I haven't ridden would be the main competitor for the upper Panigales, which would be the KTM RC8. I have not ridden one of those. I have not ridden one of the new R1s, but the controls on this bike, all these buttons and every here, and the dash itself, and just the way that the bike layout is, I don't know. I think it's wonderful. It's perfect inside and out. The clutch has got good feedback. The brakes are extremely powerful. The seating position is actually pretty decent. It is rather aggressive. Pretty much no matter what you do, it's pretty aggressive. Sitting in traffic isn't very good. The bike is hot. 198 degrees is what my gauge says here. That's really hot. Hotter than your typical Japanese bike is going to run. But something that this bike does have, of course, is torque. So when you're putzing around in traffic and you want to get in front of somebody, even at lower speeds and you're not in especially low gear, it's pretty freaking easy. This bike is, for streetability power, it's actually really, really good. It's just kind of everything else that honestly makes it a bit of a pain. The clutch, it takes a lot of hand effort. I clutch with 2 fingers. I brake with 1 or 2 fingers, somewhere in there. I do use the back brake, of course, when I'm just braking with 1 finger. But the clutch gets heavy. The bike gets really quite warm when you're not moving. So you're kind of limited in town then. This is the kind of bike that you want to get on and go out of town and hit up some twisty back roads. This is the kind of bike that you want to go out for like a bike night that ends up in a big cruise. You don't want to just go and putz around in town with this, and it makes you suffer. So what do? You would want to get something like this. A 2008 Honda CBR 1000RR. And, you know, I wanted one so bad that I got one. This is, of course, used. But the in-town manners of a bike like this, I think, are really unparalleled. You know, and it's cool having the fastest bike and the sexiest bike and all that. Oh boy. Anyway, it's cool having the sexiest bike and the fastest bike and all that, but you know, in-town manners and rideability, I think, really has more to do with the bike. The CBR 1000 has never really been the fastest bike ever. It's never been the most powerful in comparison to its competitors. Like currently, modern day, the ZX10 and the R1 are just creaming it pretty much all the time. I think the GSXR even makes more power, but I think that in-town manners, this thing is impossible to beat. My voice just cracked there. I think in-town manners, this thing is just impossible to beat. You know, this is dual stage injection, so it's never really going to bite your head off unless you're asking for it. It has a pretty nice seating position. It's nothing too aggressive, at least not for me. I'm 5'6", and I think I fit really quite comfortably on it. The bars aren't a big reach, but if I really needed to get into an aggressive position, I could, with some room to spare, meaning that I can be in a race position, you know, and hit some pretty good twisty roads, and I'm not totally dying of discomfort. There's no part of the bike that heats up unbelievably so. I put shorty levers on it, and these Renthal grips, the ones that came on it, are absolutely terrible. On the throttle side, they were actually so far to the throttle body itself here, to your throttle, I'm forgetting the word now, of course, but the grip would actually grab that, so you would never be able to just let off the throttle and it would return. It was fucking dangerous, to be honest. Anyway, I think it really is just a good do-it-all bike. As a sport bike, you know, obviously that's kind of really hard to say that it'll do everything, because you know, you can't go off-roading with it. But it's not like you're able to do that on anything else other than a dual sport or anything. But for in town, for shooting out around town, even for giving rides, it's really not that bad. So I would have to say that this is going to be the one that is going to make me happy. And there, ladies and gentlemen, is why we are riding today. We are going to go and see Ulrich 27. There he is, my buddy. He has not seen this yet. Or my helmet, I don't think. Anyway, hello. Hello!